Welcome everybody. Today we're looking at the final lesson on section 1.4 and I call it BODMAS, and you'll see why we go through it, why it's called BODMAS. It's our order of operations and how we're going to tie it all in together. So I hope the previous 3 exercises made sense. Sit back, relax, pay close attention. This is actually quite a fun section. So in the first section, or the first lesson on this section, I mentioned the mathematical convention, where mathematicians around the world decided on a few rules and things that must be, obeyed throughout the world so it doesn't cause confusion or anything. In our first lesson, we focused on addition and subtraction, which goes from left to right, and that is still true, and I want to just revise that. So when we're working on that, if you're going to get any addition or subtraction in an expression, so whether it is that example that we used, 100 minus 50 minus 20, you've got to go from left to right. So you're going to go 100 minus 50, that would give me 50. Okay, and that would be minus 20, and 50 minus 20 would give me 30. So you can see how I did that part, then I did that part, and how I got to the final answer. So that is all the rules that's always going to apply for addition and subtraction. The left to right also applies when you're multiplying and dividing, but we'll look at that now. Alright, so just remember, always from the left hand side to the right hand side. Right, so the second rule when it comes to the whole BODMAS thing is that you need to be aware of is multiplication and division is always done before addition and subtraction. Now, don't confuse these concepts. It doesn't matter with addition, subtraction, which comes first, whether it's adding or subtracting. Same with multiplying and dividing. It doesn't matter which comes first. The left-hand side is what takes place first. But let's see what I mean by this rule. Multiplying and division takes place before the addition and subtraction. So if I have 5 plus 2 times 3, according to the rule here, what I have to do is I have to do the 2 times 3 first. So that comes into play first because that is multiplication. So I will go, the next step would become 5 plus 6, and that will give me equal signs, and that will give me 11. Alright, if you look carefully and you just had to see, if you had to go left to right the whole way through, you would have gone 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 times 3 is 21. You can see 2 different answers, and that is why we have these rules in place, so that the world would come up with the same solution. Alright, hope that makes sense. Let's move on to the last little rule. Right, so the last one is the brackets, and that's that being BODMAS. And what that basically says is your brackets always get done first. Doesn't matter the scenario, the situation, brackets are always done first. So if I had to write down 5 plus 3 times 2, like I did in the last one, we know that you would have to do the multiplication first. So we would normally go 3 times 2. But what if I wanted you to add the 5 and the 3? And that is where the brackets come in. We would put brackets there. That means we have to do the adding first, because that's in the brackets. So we have to solve what's in the brackets, and then we can move on to multiplying by the 2. Once again here, you can also, if you recognize this, you'll see that's your distributive property. So you could go 5 times 2 plus 3 times 2 if you wanted to. So you need to focus on your brackets first. So that means that becomes 8 times 2, don't forget your equal signs, and 8 times 2 is 16. Right, hope that makes sense. So that's why the brackets come into play first, so if you're giving priority to something beforehand. So just to conclude this, and that's why I use the word BODMAS, it's well known around the world and you'll see it many times at school. It's the order that you're going to do things. So remember, you're always going to start with your brackets, okay? Brackets of, which hasn't really come into play yet, and you don't really need to know too much of it yet, but of means times. Then you've got your division, then you've got multiply, you've got your adding, and your subtracting. Okay, subtracting. So just be careful when it comes to dividing, multiplying, adding, subtracting, which is the left-hand side one you're going to do first in your expression. So first look what's left, and then you're going to do it. So the M and the D can swap around, the A and the S can swap around. It's always from left to right. Right, good luck with the lesson. I hope it makes sense. Watch us again if you're confused, and have fun.